Hi, I'm Jenny Robertson, founder of the On Purpose Woman Global Community and founder and publisher of On Purpose Woman magazine. Welcome to Connections on Purpose. Whether you're here with us live on Zoom, joining us on Facebook, or watching later on YouTube, I'm glad you're here. This is your time to slow down, fill up, and connect with other heart-centered women who are making a difference in the world. I'm blessed to have one of those women with me this morning, and that is Lorraine Cuff. And she's speaking on not everything deserves your energy. And I know that's a topic that intrigued me. You gave me three great things to choose from, Lorraine. They're all wonderful. We'll get you to do those at another time. But this one spoke to me right now at this stage in my life. So Lorraine is USAF retired. She's a keynote speaker, a primal health coach, and founder of Reset, Renew, and Reclaim, a holistic ecosystem that helps service-led women restore balance, rebuild energy, and reconnect with purpose. After 30 years of military service and leadership, Lorraine now inspires audiences to embrace wellness through the power of stillness, nourishment, and self-awareness. Her mission is simple: to show women who serve that you can't pour from an empty cup, and you don't have to try. You can find out more about Lorraine at lorrainecuff.com. Lorraine, thank you for being with us, and you're on.
Thank you, Jenny. Thank you for that wonderful introduction, and good morning, everyone. So before we begin, I'd like to invite you to notice something. You haven't done anything physically demanding in the last few minutes, yet some of you arrived feeling calm, some arrived energized, some may have arrived distracted, and others may already feel emotionally exhausted at the same amount of time. Different experience. Have you ever walked away from a conversation feeling lighter than when you entered it? And walked away from another conversation wondering what just happened? Maybe nothing dramatic occurred. No argument, no confrontation, yet somehow you felt different. Have you experienced that? If you can type yes or no in the chat, I'm sure most of your responses will be yes. All right. Yep. Don't see any no's in the chat. Okay. Great. Now look at that. Different women, different lives, different journeys, yet almost every one of us have experienced it. We'd usually explain it by saying, a person drained my energy. That conversation lifted my spirit. We're all used to those expressions. But over the past several months, I've been reflecting on a different question. What if the real issue isn't who or what gives us energy or what takes it away? What if the better question is, where am I choosing to participate? That question has changed the way I observe my life. And today I'd like to explore it with you. Not everything deserves your energy, not because energy is scarce, not because we should fear losing it, but because attention determines where we participate in the flow of energy. I think we all agree that everything in life, everything around us is some form of energy. Our thoughts, even a physical substance, like think of water. Water comes in different forms of energy. It comes as ice. You'll see it as snow. You'll see it as rain. But it's all energy. Sometimes when we hear the word energy, we immediately think about physical energy. I'm tired. Do I have enough energy to finish the day? But that's only one expression of energy. Think about this. Our thoughts influence our emotions. Our emotions influence our decisions. Our decisions influence our relationships. And our relationships influence the direction of our lives. Everything influences something. Everything interacts, Everything is moving. Whether you understand it through science, through faith, or through nature, or simply through your own life experiences. We spoke about that somewhat earlier today. We live in a world of continual interaction. Energy isn't standing still, and neither are we. I no longer think of energy as something we simply carry. I think of it as something we continually participate in. We exchange it through conversations, through encouragement, through conflict, through gratitude, through worry, through hope, through compassion, through fear, through where we choose to place our attention. And that has led me to realize, or to another realization, attention is never passive. Attention is participative. Now, when I continue to replay an old conversation, I'm participating. When I rehearse a fear that hasn't happened, I'm participating. When I encourage someone to, I'm participating. When I dwell in gratitude, I'm participating. Attention is how we enter the flow of energy. I'd like you to quickly think about one thing that you received most of your attention this past week, something that really kept coming back to you for one reason or the other. Could be good or bad, doesn't matter. And no need to type this in the chat at all. Just take a couple seconds and give this some thought. Was this something that strengthened you? Or did it just occupy your mind? Because there's a difference. Whatever consistently receives your attention gradually gains influence, not because it demanded our attention, but because we continued participating. Now, one of the greatest lessons I've learned is that very little in life demands our participation indefinitely. We're always growing and expanding. Yet many things continue receiving it, not because they ask, but because we, individually, we continue giving it the attention. Now think about that. A conversation lasts 10 minutes, yet we replay it for 3 days. A criticism lasts a moment, yet years later, it influences how we see ourselves. A disappointment happens once, yet we relive it repeatedly. The event is over. Our participation isn't. I don't believe most of us wake up in the morning deciding, today I'm going to spend hours worrying. But because we don't give it much thought, it happens much more quietly. Something captures our attention, then before we realize it, we've continued participating. And that's why I no longer ask myself, why can't I stop thinking about this? Instead, I ask, why am I continuing to participate? That one question has become incredibly freeing, because once I've recognized that I'm participating, I also recognize that I have influence over whether I continue. I'd like you to think of one conversation, one disappointment, or a worry that you've replayed recently. Now ask yourself, has this continued to deserve your participation? Does it continue to deserve my, meaning yours, participation? Sometimes itself, the awareness itself begins the process of letting go. Just like with Jenny taking time to heal herself, given the past year's event, becoming aware of it and acknowledging that you need to find a way to move forward is the beginning. Now, I'd like to connect this to something I believe every woman here understands. The invitation for today's conversation mentioned the invisible weight so many women carry. I think that's a much more powerful phrase because sometimes the heaviest things we carry cannot be seen. An unfinished conversation, a relationship that changed, a family concern, a diagnosis, a financial burden, a mistake, an exception, or an expectation. None of them weigh a single pound, yet together they become exhausting. Not simply because they happened, but because we've continued participating in them. There's another reality we cannot ignore. We are living in an age of constant overstimulation. Every notification, every headline, every text message, every social media post, every email, opinion, breaking news alert, breaking news, every advertisement, every expectation, it's asking the very same question. May I have your attention? And if attention opens the door to participation, then every notification, every interruption, every opinion is really an invitation. Not every invitation deserves to be accepted. I think of one of the greatest boundaries we can develop isn't simply learning to say no to other people, but learning to say no to the thought, to the replay, the expectation, the distraction. It no longer deserves your continued participation. That is an emotional boundary, not built out of fear, but built out of discernment. Now, I'm curious, how many of you have ever picked up your phone to check one message and 20 minutes later, you've wondered, how the heck did I get here? It's happened to me, and I'm sure it's happened to you. And whether it be the phone or online, right? Thanks for the thumbs up, Jenny. All right? It's happened to so many of us. We've all been there. The issue isn't the phone. The issue isn't social media. The issue isn't even the notification. The real question, did it deserve 20 minutes of my participation? The question has the power to change how we move through the day. The event ended. The notification may have disappeared. The conversation may be over, but every day we make a choice. Will I continue participating? Or will I gently redirect my attention to what truly matters? Because not everything deserves your energy. Not everything deserves your participation. So, if awareness helps us recognize where we've been participating, how do we begin directing our participation more intentionally? How do we reconnect with our peace, our clarity, our purpose, without withdrawing from the world? Because that's another direction some folks end up going down that rabbit hole, which is not necessarily healthy either. But let's explore that together. But there is something I've been learning And admittedly, I'm still practicing it. Awareness alone doesn't change our lives. Awareness creates space. And within that space, we discover something we often forget we have. And that is choice. Not always over what happens to us, not always over what first captures our attention, but often over whether we continue participating. That realization has been incredibly freeing for me because life will continue happening. People will continue saying things. Our phones will continue buzzing. Someone will always disagree with us, and there'll always be another opinion, another headline, another expectation. The invitation never stops. You think of what's in the news today. We have become overwhelmed and consumed. As soon as one news finishes, another one pops in. And yes, we could turn the channel off, but that's not necessarily always the answer. But you can make that choice to choose when, where, and how. The invitation never stops. The question is, which invitations deserve my continued participation? I have found that one of the greatest gifts we can develop is becoming an observer. Not someone who withdraws from life, not someone who becomes emotionally detached, but someone who notices before reacting. The observer notices the invitation before accepting it. The observer notices the emotion before feeding it. The observer notices the thought before rehearsing it. That small space between attention and participation is where the wisdom begins. Now, I'd like everyone to take a slow breath with me. We're going to inhale at your own pace. Inhale and just exhale through our mouth slowly. Now inhale. And exhale, long and slow. Now think of one situation in your life that continues asking for your attention. Don't judge it. Just give it some thought. Just observe that thought. Now ask yourself, is this worthy of my continued participation? Notice how different that feels from asking, how do I fix this? Sometimes the greatest act of wisdom is not solving, it's discerning. Now, here's another question I've begun to ask myself. Not how do I get rid of this, but what deserves more of my participation instead? Because life isn't simply about saying no. It's about saying yes more intentionally. So in the chat, I'd like you to type just one word that deserves more of your participation. And here's a few examples. The word could be peace, could be family, could be health, joy, faith, purpose, rest, gratitude. Learning. All right, some great ones. Joy, self, health, learning, gratitude. Right. So think of those words. Look at those words in the chat and start noticing something. Not one of those words is asking your attention through notification. Every one of them requires intention. That is why so often we get crowded out. Things get crowded out. Everything's demanding immediate attention. But these words are not demanding that. Attention opens the door. Participation now is the decision. Discernment decides whether we remain. Now, as we prepare to close, I'd like to leave you with one final thought. This presentation has never been about avoiding people or avoiding difficult conversations by pretending life isn't challenging. Life is beautifully, beautifully complicated. Relationships are complicated. Families are complicated. Work is complicated. Health is complicated. Being human is complicated. But somewhere in the middle of all the complexity, we still have influence. Not necessarily over every circumstance, but over where we continue participating. And I believe that that changes everything, because every single day, life extends invitations. Some deserve our participation. Many do not. Every day we are invited to worry, into comparison, into outrage, into resentment, into distraction. Every day we also invited into compassion, into gratitude, into hope, purpose, presence, love. Invitations never stop. The difference is we no longer have to accept everyone. Perhaps this is what reclaiming your energy really means. Not protecting it from the world, not withdrawing from life, but becoming more intentional about where to choose to participate. Because where we participate, our lives gradually follow. Before we leave, I'd like you to quietly answer 3 questions. No one else needs to know the answers, just you. The questions are, what deserves less of my participation? What deserves more of my participation? What one decision will I make this week that reflects that answer? I began today with 2 conversations and and 2 experiences. You can leave by feeling so different. Perhaps now we have a different answer, not because one gave us energy and the other one took it away, but because one invited us to flow into the energy that aligned with who you are, while the other invited us somewhere to no longer, somewhere where the energy is no longer needed to remain. So as you move through this week, remember this: life will continue extending invitations for your attention. Some will be beautiful, some will be difficult, some will be inspiring, some will be distracting. But you don't have to accept every invitation. The attention is the invitation. Participation is the decision. And perhaps the greatest boundary we can ever establish is deciding what no longer deserves our continued participation. That is how we begin reconnecting with our peace, our clarity, our purpose, and ultimately ourselves. Thank you. Anyone has any questions?
Well, we're going to go offline for questions, but wow. Wow, Lorraine, thank you so much. I am so grateful I got to hear this perspective before. Well, actually, I've already started my time off in my head, and my body is ready to really. That what a great thing to observe during that time, right? So I'd like all of you here with us on Zoom, if you could unmute yourselves and just let's show Lorraine our love and appreciation for this great talk.
Woohoo!
Fantastic.
Thank you. Amazing.
Fantastic.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Oh my goodness.
Yes, so many good nuggets there. Thank
Yeah.
you so much. And to all of us joining us live, to all of you joining us live or catching the replay, thank you for being part of our community today. If you want to join us for future Connections on Purpose gatherings on Zoom or in person in Columbia, Maryland, or explore On Purpose Woman magazine, go to my website, opwgc.com. You'll find opportunities for inspiration, connection, and growth, both personally and professionally. Until next time, be curious, be inspired, be connected, and be on purpose. Thanks for watching.